Declarations are a declaration of we're a pledge of service in every corner of the UK, across the Commonwealth, and around the world.
Good evening. I'm Royal Realness, and tonight's top story pulls back the velvet curtain on a seismic shift at the heart of the British monarchy. When King Charles, still bearing the weight of his crown and the challenges of cancer treatment, signed the royal proclamation naming Prince William as regent and Princess Catherine as co-regent, he set in motion a transformation centuries in the making. No longer a distant heir, William now shares full authority with his wife Catherine in a move that redefines regency and reverberates through every corner of the Commonwealth. Yesterday, beneath the gilded arches of Westminster Abbey, the proclamation was read aloud by the Lord President of the Council. Behind ornate doors and polished floors, a frail but resolute monarch placed his authority on record, empowering his son and daughter-in-law to govern on his behalf during periods of indisposition. This isn't a ceremonial nod, it's a legal instrument stamped by the Privy Council, granting William and Catherine the power to sign legislation, conduct state visits, and even exercise a limited veto over certain royal decisions. Sources inside Buckingham Palace tell us emotions ran high when Charles affixed his seal. Witnesses described the king's hand trembling ever so slightly as he placed it next to his signature, a poignant reminder that beneath the crown sits a man grappling with illness. In that moment, those polished halls echoed with something more than protocol. They echoed with trust, vulnerability, and an unspoken father's pride. For decades, regency meant a single substitute, a counselor of state stepping in during a monarch's minority or incapacity. Never has the United Kingdom witnessed dual regency, let alone one that places a future king and his consort on equal footing. Charles himself, battling a diagnosis revealed over a year ago, has orchestrated this change deliberately. He reduced his public engagements following a hospital stay in March, focusing on recovery and secret strategy sessions with the Privy Council. Then in July, he surprised the world once more by appearing at a public event to announce his health was improving, even as treatment continued behind closed doors. But this was never about retreat. It was about evolution. Court insiders reveal months of private meetings in which Charles stressed unity and modernization. He argued that shared leadership would not dilute the throne, but strengthen it, offering stability in uncertain times and preparing the monarchy for a new era. And there, at his side, stood Catherine. Known for her quiet strength and strategic acumen, she has been more than a supportive spouse. Behind the scenes, she has attended classified briefings on global affairs, royal security, and diplomatic nuance. Her campaign for early childhood mental health shaping us has already reshaped conversations across Britain and beyond. Now, with co-regency powers in hand, she is authorized to co-sign key initiatives, reshape patronages, and bring her advocacy directly into statecraft. As this new chapter unfolds, eyes turn to William and Catherine. Can this unprecedented partnership anchor a centuries-old institution? For now, the palace is united, the proclamation is in force, and Britain awaits the next move in a royal drama that blends tradition with a vision of modernity. And as the palace hush settled over Whitehall, that blend of duty and emotion set the stage for an intimate glimpse behind royal doors. Inside the private chambers at Balmoral, King Charles, his frame still showing the strain of treatment, pulled William aside. In low tones, the monarch spoke not as a sovereign, but as a father, reminding his son of their shared legacy, the burdens they carry, and the oath that now binds them together. It was a scene recalled by staff as one of profound vulnerability, where protocol gave way to palpable pride. "It's only right we face this together," William replied, his voice steady, yet soft. Those 6 words, simple, unadorned, echoed through the corridors as a pledge of partnership. For Catherine, that moment crystallized her new status. No longer merely witness to royal history, she became a principal actor. Courtiers say she stood beside William with unwavering composure, her calm presence a counterbalance to the hush of uncertainty. Throughout this private gathering, the couple exchanged few words but many glances each, a promise of solidarity. Observers noted that Catherine's hand on William's arm conveyed more reassurance than any spoken declaration. Sources describe how, in the days leading up to the public proclamation, she worked late into the night, reviewing briefing papers on constitutional law, diplomatic protocol, and legislative processes tasks traditionally reserved for seasoned ministers. Meanwhile, back in London, the palace press office prepared a statement emphasizing unity. Photographs were discreetly released, Charles signing the proclamation in the council chamber, William leaning in to offer support, and Catherine watching from the threshold, her expression poised yet tender. Social media lit up with commentary on that trio of images, calling them a family united in service, and a modern fairy tale with real-world stakes. Yet the core of the story remained that private exchange at Balmoral. Insiders reveal that Charles, aware of his physical fragility, chose that secluded Scottish retreat for its solitude and security. There, away from the public eye, he could speak frankly about fears, expectations, and the weight of a centuries-old institution on his shoulders. And there, William and Catherine could commit themselves not only to duty, but to each other. That commitment extends far beyond ceremonial duties. Over the past year, palace officials have quietly restructured the workflow of royal engagements. Joint appearances by William and Catherine have been meticulously choreographed to highlight their equal standing. At recent state functions, they arrived together, greeted dignitaries side by side, and shared the center of official photographs moves that signaled this co-regency is more than legal fiction. Still, questions linger about how this partnership will fare under public scrutiny. Traditionalists worry that sharing power could lead to mixed messaging. But proponents argue that two leaders bring diverse strengths, William's strategic vision and Catherine's empathetic leadership. As the newly minted co-regents prepare to navigate complex domestic and international issues from climate initiatives to Commonwealth relations, their ability to act in concert will be tested. Tonight, as Britain reflects on this intimate chapter of royal history, we see that the monarchy's future hinges on more than titles and proclamations. It rests on trust, forged in quiet conversations, on promises exchanged in the sanctuary of family, and on the shared resolve of two individuals ready to redefine what it means to reign. Yet the conversations at Balmoral and the images in London were only the prologue. Now attention turns to the legal engine room, where ancient statutes meet modern necessity. Under the high ceilings of the Privy Council chamber, a select group of ministers, clerics, and advisors convened in strict confidence. Chairs creaked under the weight of historic precedent as lawmakers pored over the Regency Act's legislation dating back to the 1930s, with roots in statutes from the Georgian era. Their task to craft a proclamation that would withstand both legal challenge and public scrutiny while extending regency powers in unprecedented ways. Minutes from these meetings describe lengthy debates over wording. Some traditionalists argued that allowing a consort to co-reign risked muddling the chain of command. Others, citing William and Catherine's complementary strengths, countered that dual leadership could enhance the monarchy's resilience. One senior official later remarked, "It wasn't simply politics. It was about future-proofing an institution built on continuity." When consensus was finally reached, clerks in scarlet robes set quill to parchment. The final document granted William authority to perform all the royal functions of state, during Charles's treatment explicitly adding Catherine's name alongside his own. It stipulated that both could sign orders in council, represent the crown abroad, and exercise such reserve powers as were necessary language engineered to include limited veto rights over ministerial appointments and legislative assent. Once the text was sealed with the Great Seal of the realm, the proclamation was dispatched to regional governments across the United Kingdom and to the governors general of the Commonwealth. By dawn, courthouses in Edinburgh, Cardiff, and Belfast displayed notices, while Canberra and Ottawa acknowledged the new co-regents in official gazettes. Telegraph lines, metaphorically speaking, hummed with confirmation that a global monarchy was adapting in real time. Amid these formalities, historians took to the airwaves to place the moment in context. They recalled the Regency era of 1811 to 1820, when George IV governed for his incapacitated father, George III. They noted the William and Mary co-reign in 1689, but stressed that those arrangements were born of dynastic compromise, not paired empowerment. Tonight's proclamation, they said, ventured beyond precedent. It was a deliberate redesign of monarchical governance. Back at Buckingham Palace, palace aides arranged for the public to witness the legal milestone. Television crews were escorted into a side chamber where they filmed Charles's private signature ceremony. Viewers at home saw the king's hand press the inked seal, then glide across the parchment as his attendants steadied the document. The narration emphasized that Though his body may falter, his will remains unbowed. On social media, expert commentators dissected every phrase. Legal scholars posted side-by-side comparisons of the old Regency language and the new co-regent clauses. Constitutional bloggers debated potential long-term implications. Could Catherine one day serve as sole regent? What safeguards existed to prevent conflict between William and his wife? For now, the consensus was clear. British law had bent to meet the moment, recognizing a marriage of equals within the crown. As the sun set over London, the co-regents prepared for their first joint council meeting. Catherine reviewed foreign dispatches on climate negotiations. William studied defense briefings concerning troop deployments. Together, they would face ambassadors and ministers the following morning. Their tandem approach, a fusion of strategy and empathy, would be showcased in real time for all the world to see. And so, from whispered talks at Balmoral to the deliberations of the Privy Council chamber, from quills and seals to digital news feeds, the monarchy's transformation has unfolded. In reshaping Regency, Charles William and Catherine have bridged centuries of tradition and cast a new mold for royal authority. The question now is not just how they will wield their shared power, but how a modern monarchy will thrive when defined by partnership rather than sole sovereignty. And as the first light of morning filtered through the palace windows, William and Catherine moved from private deliberations straight into the public eye. Their joint arrival at Downing Street underscored the moment's gravity. Side by side, they stepped from the car onto the red carpet, greeted by the Prime Minister and cabinet ministers in a rare display of equal-ranking royals. No whispered introductions, no stage distance, every gesture broadcast a message of unified leadership. Inside number 10, the couple took their seats at the top of the half-moon table. William opened with a concise statement of purpose, emphasizing continuity and stability. We stand before you to assure the nation that our constitutional roles will be fulfilled with diligence and care. Then Catherine added her own voice. Together, we will champion causes that matter to families and communities across the realm. Their words, delivered in unison, felt like a new chapter for a centuries-old institution. Outside, the public responded with a mix of admiration and curiosity. Crowds gathered along the mall, waving Union Jacks and leaning over barriers while television screens in pubs and homes relayed every frame. Many viewers praised Catherine's poised introduction, her tone warm, yet authoritative, remarking that she brought an energy and empathy that complemented William's steadfast demeanor. Meanwhile, palace insiders revealed how the co-regents had already begun reshaping royal operations. Day-to-day briefings, once segregated into separate folders, for Prince of Wales and Princess of Wales have been merged into a single Regency portfolio. Advisors report that this streamlined structure has accelerated decision-making on everything from international diplomacy to domestic welfare programs. On the global front, William and Catherine's first joint engagement came just hours later aboard the royal yacht moored at Greenwich. They hosted Commonwealth representatives for a roundtable on climate resilience. William led with policy outlines and long-term funding commitments. Catherine followed with candid stories from her mental health initiatives and proposals for youth outreach. Observers noted how seamlessly they passed the conversational baton. His strategic projections flowed directly into her human-centered narratives. Back in London, newspapers ran headlines declaring, "A royal equation of equals." Editorials debated the implications. Some analysts foresaw a more adaptable monarchy capable of connecting with younger generations. Others cautioned against diluting a singular royal voice. Yet even critics conceded that the optics of joint leadership were compelling, particularly in an era when collaborative governance is championed in boardrooms and parliaments alike. At home in Windsor, the Wales family dynamic also shifted. In the private nursery wing of Kensington Palace, Catherine balanced state papers with story time for Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Sources describe a new daily ritual, a brief family breakfast followed by group discussions, where the children are encouraged to ask questions about their parents' work. It's a small rehearsal for future roles, yet it underscores how the co-regency is not merely symbolic. It's lived and breathed within the royal household. By midday, social media analytics showed a spike in positive sentiment. Royal teamwork trended on Twitter, accompanied by clips of Catherine's heartfelt exchange with an asylum-seeking family at a community center. In those moments, The abstract concept of co-regency took on flesh and blood, an embodiment of resilience, compassion, and shared responsibility. As afternoon turned to evening, the newly minted co-regents attended a ceremonial garden party at Buckingham Palace. Under blossoming archways and bursts of confetti, William and Catherine mingled with guests, their conversations ranging from veterans' welfare to educational reform. And through it all, their synchronized steps and coordinated smiles told a story more powerful than any speech two individuals united in purpose, guiding a monarchy toward a future defined not by singular reigns, but by partnership and service. As dusk settled over the palace gardens, William and Catherine departed the confetti and cordial applause in stride, carrying with them the momentum of a monarchy reborn. Behind their poised smiles lies a blueprint for the crown's next chapter, one that marries tradition with innovation ceremony, with service and authority with empathy. In the coming weeks, Buckingham Palace itself will become a test case. Plans are already underway to open sections of the Grand State Rooms to community workshops and youth forums, transforming once solemn halls into vibrant spaces for civic engagement. William envisions the palace as more than a residence. He calls it a living symbol of connection, where citizens of all backgrounds can engage directly with their monarchy. Meanwhile, Catherine's Shaping Us initiative is set to expand under her new co-regent authority. Early childhood centers across London will soon pilot mental health curricula she helped design, integrating emotional resilience training into standard nursery programs. As co-regent, she'll work with ministers to secure funding draft policy proposals and ensure that these resources reach underserved communities from Glasgow to Guernsey. On the international stage, the couple's joint priorities are already clear. William has fast-tracked Earthshot Prize collaborations with renewable energy startups, while Catherine plans a global summit on youth well-being, inviting educators, psychologists, and community leaders to discuss scalable solutions. Their first co-signed orders in council will reflect these dual commitments, anchoring the monarchy's evolving role in tackling 21st century challenges. Throughout this transformation, King Charles remains both overseer and inspiration. Though he continues treatment, palace sources say he is heartened by this evolution, seeing in William and Catherine the embodiment of his lifelong vision, a crown attuned to the needs of its people. In private letters shared with the Privy Council, he praised their partnership as the surest way to preserve our heritage and extend our reach. At home, the Wales children are also participants in this living experiment. Morning briefings at Kensington now include age-appropriate discussions of the day's agenda, teaching George to grasp climate data, Charlotte to observe diplomatic etiquette, and Louis to appreciate the value of service. Playdates have given way to purpose-driven projects, from litter-picking drives to book-reading campaigns in local schools, all under Catherine's gentle guidance. As cameras capture their synchronized walk back through the palace gates, the image is unmistakable, a modern monarchy defined by collaboration, compassion, and clarity of purpose. No longer confined to ivory towers, the crown stands among its people, listening, responding, and leading by example. Tonight's developments mark more than a temporary shift. They signal a durable strategic reimagining of royal authority, one in which shared power ensures resilience and shared humanity ensures relevance. From the inked seal of the royal proclamation to the laughter of children in palace corridors, every element contributes to a narrative of renewal. And so, as William and Catherine step forward together, hand in hand, title beside title, they carry the promise of a monarchy that not only endures, but evolves. In their partnership, the ancient institution finds new life. In their resolve, the nation finds renewed hope. Good night, and thank you for joining us on this historic journey.